Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Write for Your Life. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Timothy.
If we sound different this week, or particularly if I sound different this week, it's because we're trying some new audio stuff, trying to reduce a lot of that noise and vibration that you hear coming from my mic. So hopefully this is better. It's almost certainly not going to be worse.
Yeah, it already sounds better for me. I can actually understand all of the words instead of just most of them. Because the last microphone had when you finish talking, it would trail off somehow, and then it would just kind of dissolve into noisy fuzz. And this mic isn't doing that. So that's already an improvement in my book.
I certainly hope it's an improvement because I'm speaking into an actual microphone and not a 7-year-old laptop microphone.
If it makes you feel better, my webcam it's 25 years old at this point. So we're all working with old equipment here and there.
Whoa, that's a very old webcam. This is going to sound so ignorant. I did not know webcams could be 25 years old.
It was one of the first. And the reason I got it is because my brothers and I were in a Lego stop motion arms race, trying to get the best cameras, the best sound effects, the best music, the best editing. We all had our own film studios that we had made up. We had title cards and logos for our film studios. I have all of the stop motion videos, actually. Some of them are genuinely pretty good.
You have these stop motion videos?
Yes.
Oh, we are going to have to upload these somehow, some way.
Instead of reading one of your Substack writings and analyzing it, we'll just analyze a stop motion video I made 15, 20 years ago.
Honestly, I'm not opposed. I am definitely not opposed. I would love to see what 13-year-old Tim was doing with his time.
I was making a stop motion video that was probably 2 seconds long, but I managed to stretch it into, I want to say, a minute and a half with the creative use of opening and ending credits. The entire plot was that there's a person in a room, like a Lego person in a room, and then a spider comes up, and then she screams, and then she squashes it. And that's the movie.
Incredible. That will be posted to our socials at some point. I'm gonna hold Tim to that. Also, we have socials now. Go check out our TikTok and Instagram. We haven't actually made them at the time we're recording this. I'm just assuming what we're going to make.
Putting a lot of faith in us.
I am, but I don't know. Let's make a decision. TikTok and Instagram, Twitter. What are you feeling?
I feel like TikTok and Instagram are probably the two easiest. I don't know if we'd have a huge demand on Twitter. I mean, I think Twitter would just be like ooh, we're recording, we're posting, yay. I know nothing about Twitter.
Well, we could also post little quotes from the podcast, maybe. But also, I don't know if I want to be involved in Twitter. Twitter's sort of a bad place.
Just for different reasons now than it was earlier.
Yeah. I don't have, you want to get in the writing for this week?
Yeah, we are all over the place. As opposed to Monday when I was incredibly tired and had nothing in me. I have gotten enough sleep now, so I'm full of energy. I've got my tea. I'm making sure to not drink it while we're talking about important things, so I can cut out the sound of me drinking tea. And I'm ready to listen to this recording.
Amazing. This week's is Once More. Once more. Josh vomited into a trash can. He hadn't done it in a couple of weeks. I must have pushed him harder today than normal. It was that or the already suffocating humidity that made him gag up whatever breakfast he had. From the sounds of it, it wasn't much of one. How many more times do we have to do this? He said between gags. Once more, I replied, sitting on the grass a few yards away while trying to wipe away sweat from my face. He wiped his mouth and looked towards me, but he still kept his head over the trash can, just in case. You said that 3 times ago, and you said that all day yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. Because it is true. We have to do this once more. And after that, we will have to do it once more. I may or may not have been lying. I was never fully sure how many times we had to do it. That was never really the point. Josh gave a few more dry heaves before raising his head back up. How many times in total? However many times it takes to get it done. As of now, that is once more. After that, we will see. His nausea finally subsided enough where he was able to stand up again. I joined him by rising off the grass and tossing a water bottle to him. He gave it a squeeze and rinsed his mouth out a few times before taking a drink. He tossed it back onto the grass where it landed with a solid thud and a quick squeak of water from the top. We both looked up to the highest seats in the stadium. How many steps is it up there? He whined. 106. Only 53 if you skip a step with each stride. Why do you even care how many there are? Because I want to know, he said with a hefty amount of sass. I gave him a side eye. Because you want to complain. He smiled at my poking. Maybe a little. Wait a second. If it doesn't matter, why do you know how many there are? Because I previously loved to complain. How long ago was that, O great and mighty ye who never tires? I gave a light snort at my new name. Last year, it was about that time when Carlos made me do all of this the first dozen times or so. Carlos was a madman. Carlos was the man who did it. Everything we wanted to achieve, he did. I guess I was in his position now. He probably felt less tired than this when he showed me. Maybe that's just me projecting. What changed? Josh asked. My focus. Complaining wasn't going to help. Vomiting wasn't going to help. Thinking about when it'd be over wasn't going to help. That last one made it worse, actually. The only thing that kept me going was focusing on the next one, and only that one. I can do anything once. Keeping myself locked onto the next thing means there's only one thing to do. I turned back to Josh, who seemed to have finally slowed his breathing and heart down to an almost normal pace. He didn't seem any more at ease. He probably wouldn't for a while due to how stubborn he is. It takes a few times for a message to sink into his thick head. You ready to go again? No, he said, exasperated. I slapped his back as I began racing up the steps. That's too bad. We gotta go again. Once more. So, what did you think?
I really, really, really like this one. I think that is my standard comment, and that's fine. I'm going to stick with it. But it was so much fun reading this when it was originally posted. When was it originally posted?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Wow. Okay, so it was March. Yeah, that was only 3 months ago. It feels like a lifetime ago. But I remember reading this when it was originally posted, and I absolutely loved it. I think I said this when we were doing It's Bad For You, where I really love these kind of really short story character pieces where, you have two characters, one of them's often in first person, you don't get any background, you just get their dialogue, but you get such a clear picture of what's happening and who's involved. But I think this one was elevated a lot by your reading it. Specifically, you had such delineation between both characters. You weren't doing accents, you weren't doing voices, anything like that. It was purely the emotion with which you spoke the lines of the two characters. It gave so much more information about them than I had when I was reading it the first time. Because Josh, you can tell that he is still somewhat on board with this, but he's regretting his decisions at the moment, kind of. But he wants the end result of them. But right now, he's feeling very down about it. And then the main character is, how did I put it? Very matter of fact. Not necessarily robotic, not stiff or cold or anything like that. But he's just, yes, this is what we do. This is why we do it. This is how we do it. Let's do the next one. And he's not being unkind, but he's also not giving into the emotional side of what Josh is dealing with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's sort of the point, is the two halves of yourself and also just, two different people. the we have to get it done part of yourself, and the gosh, I really don't want to be doing this part of yourself, which we all have. Me especially. I mean, waking up in the morning, it's like, gosh, I really don't want to get up, but I need to get up.
Yep.
It's that feeling of not giving into yourself and not giving into the outside pressures. Even in this case, right, the pressures are very low stakes. It's his buddy. They're already here. They're already doing it. Who knows for how long? Who knows how much longer they have? Even the main speaker in this also doesn't know how long they have.
Yeah.
So it's about that going until it's done.
So I hadn't considered that it was two sides of yourself essentially, but that makes a lot of sense. It's a study of these are kind of the two struggles you deal with, or the how you deal with struggles. And I'm assuming, based on what you said, that this comes from your own experience in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely. In the mental image of the stadium that I have is the stadium that I grew up playing football in.
I figured, yeah.
Right. Even down to like the number of steps, the number of rows.
Wait, did you actually counted them?
Well, I did the simple math. I think there were like 50 some odd rows. And so with 50 some odd rows, 2 rows per step, I'm doing a little bit of guessing. But
Mm-hmm.
that's basically what the math works out to. Yeah. And what was even worse about that stadium in particular was that the incline changed halfway through. It went from
Oh no.
yeah, it increased in steepness when you hit about the halfway point. So you would be going and then you'd have to go up, at your same pace very fast, but more steep. And I was thinking back to those days where we would have to run stadiums. We would have to, sprint all the way up and then come down and then sprint back up and then go back down and sprint back up. And you do it, and you would do it an indeterminate amount of times. They would not tell you how many times you would be doing it. You would just
Wow.
have to do it again.
So is this the mindset that you eventually got into? Was the like during that it was just, hey, we're just gonna do it once more, and that's all you were focusing on?
Yeah, it is, and it's partially a coping mechanism, honestly, because it's like we're gonna be doing it once. Like, okay, we have to do it just once more. Just do it again, and then you get done with that one, and you're like, okay, let's just do it again. And there are other people that were, like Josh in the story. How many more times do we have to do this? How many more times is this gonna be happening? When's this gonna be over? What time is it? And it's like, brother, that is not gonna save you. So it is this like two halves of a person and also two different people. And when you're doing something very difficult or very challenging, you're gonna reach this point where you're gonna have to ask yourself, okay, how much longer do I want to keep doing this? How much longer will I be doing this? And what purpose am I doing this for? And is the purpose that I'm doing it for worth doing this again?
Hmm. So does that mental process translate into your life now at all?
Oh, absolutely. In so many ways and in so many things, right? Like including this. This isn't easy.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it's not easy to wake up consistently early in the morning before work and spend this time editing or recording and then going to work and then working all day and then coming home and editing some more and writing some more on top of any yard work that has to be done, on chores that have to be done, on taking care of my 3 lovely and occasionally annoying cats. All of this stuff, it's simple, but doing it consistently is not easy. And so having to rededicate yourself to those things is what keeps you going, and having the mentality of just do it again for the next day and just do it again and just do it again. Just once more. Just do it one more time.
Yeah, I know I've struggled with that as well, with especially morning routines, because as much as I am a morning person, when, the room is cold and you got a couple blankets and you're situated just right on the mattress and all that, it is tough to leave. And I know I'm going to be leaving this comfortable, warm, cozy bed to do something that in the end will make me feel better. I will have a better day because of it. But in the moment, I know it's just going to be physical pain. Or in this case, I'm going to be talking for a while and thinking and, all of that stuff. It is tough to make the end goal worth it in those moments. And normally what works is not thinking about the end goal for me and just saying, hey, you got to do this. Just accept that you got to do it. Don't worry about what comes afterwards. And just do the thing that you decided you needed to do. Because the you that was more sentient and had more critical thinking skills decided that this was a good idea. So just listen to that part of yourself and go do it.
It's like that person who commits to getting in shape like the night before, and they set the alarm, and the alarm goes off, and they're like, nah.
If you allow yourself any more decision making beyond the once more, that's when you get into trouble in situations like that.
Yeah, kind of a rule is like, don't make decisions when you're tired.
Don't go shopping when you're hungry.
Listen to the version of yourself that could properly make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, of course you want to sleep in when you said that you were going to get up early, right? Of course you may just want to go to bed when it's the end of a long day, but you need to get something done. And again, it's not easy. I'm not going to say that it's easy. I think anyone who says that it's easy is ridiculous. But we do hard things to make life better. Not because doing hard things is easy, but because in the long run, difficult things are worth it. Even when you're throwing up in the trash can at, for me, 6:15 in the morning, which happened every Monday for 2 years when I was at football practice.
Man, now I just feel bad about my morning routine. It's kind of plush in comparison.
Well, to be fair, I was in high school.
Yeah, you can take that kind of abuse in high school.
Yeah, obviously. And I think it was nerves. I never understood why I did it. I literally think it was just nerves. For practicing a sport that I played for a very long time. I also got punched in the throat one morning, but it was an accident.
Intentionally?
No. It was an accident.
Oh, okay. That's less interesting, but also interesting.
Yeah, I don't blame him. It happened. He punched me in the throat, and then everybody was like, whoa, what just happened? Because I'm like bent over, like not able to breathe.
I like that we have now turned this, we have a segment now that's how did Caleb injure or get injured in high school? Because we had last week where you broke a kid's nose because he ran into you.
First of all, that was like elementary school or middle school.
Oh my goodness.
I've been big a long time, brother. We've been over this.
Okay, when did you hit 6 feet? Just personal curiosity.
Oh gosh, maybe 8th grade, 9th grade.
Dang.
And then I just kind of kept going and kept going and kept
Yeah.
going. Like I don't think I officially topped out until freshman year of college, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't have one of those like ridiculous growth spurts. That kid that he leaves in 7th grade and then he comes back and then all of a sudden he's, 5 or 6 inches taller over the course of a summer. That never happened to me. I was very steady. I just sort of kept going. Despite the horrors, we persist.
It's a very fitting metaphor for your life that you just kept getting bigger and bigger despite everything.
I mean, if you've known me for very long, I'll do more things out of spite than I will anything else.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is the strongest motivator.
At least for me it is. I don't recommend it for everyone.
Spite may not be for everyone. Consult your doctor before prescribing.
Again, if we haven't made it very clear, which I said this last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, just because we do things does not mean we endorse the things that we do.
Absolutely, yes. We will be very clear if we endorse things. And if we do, don't listen to us. We don't know what we're talking about.
Hang
we're
on,
just
hang
a
on, hang
couple
on.
of
If
idiots.
you're a sponsor and you would like to sponsor this podcast, then in that case, please listen to it.
We'll release a sponsor version.
Oh
Oh,
goodness
okay.
me.
To get back on track, before we move on to the next segment, I have I have three questions. Two of them are going to be really quick, so we'll get through the slow one first. It might be quick too, but we talked about pantsing versus plotting. We've talked about this a lot, and just real quick, when you were writing this, was it an ooh, here's a setup, or did you have the idea of here's how the conversation goes?
I think this time I had a particular theme that I wanted. I wanted to write about the idea of just doing something again, doing something once more, even though it was hard. And I wanted to convey that the best way that I knew how, which was going back to my athletic backgrounds and my athletic training where we would do these. So in this case, I had the idea, then I was like, what's the best way for me to convey this? It is this particular story. And this conversation wasn't one that I actually had in real life. It was sort of a kinder, gentler version of the conversations that I've had in real life.
So this was very much just you had a theme, you thought, okay, this is where I can pull from, and then you essentially had all the materials you needed because this is not a situation you had to make up. It was just you could pull from actual life experiences and just write what happened, essentially.
Right. So in the like pantsing versus plotting scale, it's very much plotting the message or the outcome that I wanted, but
Mm-hmm.
how we got there is sort of an amalgamation of various different things that I did.
That makes sense. So something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later is dialogue. And I'm curious what's your process for writing dialogue that isn't repetitively structured? Because that's one of the biggest ways to tell quality of writing in my mind.
So I had a friend of mine very early in my writing. I sent him some of my work, and one of his responses was, "No one talks like this." And I was like, that's very fair. This is also something that Mark Hamill says in an interview on SNL about Star Wars a long time ago, where he was talking with George Lucas, and he repeated this very strange line that was not actually wound up being said in Star Wars. And he said the same thing to George Lucas, which is, no one talks like this. Which, if that is your purpose, you're writing a character who says things and does things that real people don't actually say and do, then that's okay. That can be part of your theme or your story. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I'm writing dialogue, I try to think, would I say this or would someone I know say this?
Mm.
So I'll take a character and I'll give them some fake name and I'll sort of go through the Rolodex of people in my mind whose personality I think accompanies or fits this particular character. And then I think about how they would say things if I was having a conversation. And I start writing from there, about the things that they would say, the things that they would think, how they would be feeling, even some of their mannerisms. And that sort of keeps things more fresh for me. And it prevents me from only writing in my own voice or writing things that are utterly outlandish and ridiculous in a way that removes you from the story.
That is a very good technique. Have you ever used one of your friends as the voice of just like a very unlikable character? And was it me?
Characters. That's the real question, is have I ever used you in a bad situation? No, not you. I try to think about unlikable characters. Because even in this story, like, Josh isn't unlikable. I think he's very relatable.
Yeah.
And he sort of does some poking and some prodding, and he kind of does a little bit of joking. And so I try not to write unlikable characters. I try to write, if I'm writing a bad character, I want them to be a bad character. But often in that case, I'm thinking of something that's a little more bombastic. So I may tend to pull from other media. less so
Yeah.
than people, right? If I'm thinking of someone that's a little more grandiose, I out of all of our friends that are grandiose, they're grandiose when they're doing D&D things or when they're writing. They're not grandiose when they're in their day-to-day lives. We border
Yeah.
more so on ridiculous than, over the top dramatic.
I think we both have a particular person in mind, and I agree with you. You know who you are.
I do not use my friends disparagingly. I think that's the appropriate use of that word. But I do use friends for personality and character ideas and concepts. And if you think
Yeah.
a character is based off of you, that's not possible yet because I don't think it's happened in any of the writings we've discussed so far. But if if the book ever gets published and you're like, I think this is based upon me, you can reach out to me. You're most likely wrong, but you can certainly try.
I think it makes sense that you use your friends as inspiration for the more quiet moments and the more interpersonal moments and stuff like that, because you don't get that as much in media. And when you do, it tends to be very, very written, very specific, and it's hard to generalize. But you have so much experience with your friends talking about just daily life stuff or having deep conversations or things like that. It makes a lot of sense to pull from that for those moments in books.
Right. And if you can be more creative with it, you can even apply it to some of the not so quiet moments, especially if you know someone very intimately or very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, we have a group of, I don't know, 8 to 10 friends together that I would say I could think how they would react in this completely made up situation that is never going to happen in real life because
Oh yeah,
I've known them long enough.
yeah. You could make one of them a supervillain and put them in a comic book and know exactly what their plot would be.
Right. And so I I try not to think too hard about creating a character or an identity that is completely brand new because I have a sort of dex of people that is so much more colorful and robust and has a much greater backstory and fill than anything that I could reasonably come up with, right? Truth is stranger than fiction. Shall we get into the next segment?
Let's do it. This actually transitions extremely well because I'm going to talk about a piece of dialogue that I have been struggling with. And I think your suggestions may help, but we'll see. So, basically, when was it? It was a couple days ago. My wife and I had kind of a meh day, and so we were just sitting on the couch. She was reading. I was attempting to write the next chapter of the book. And it's I guess if you listen to the podcast, you're going to get little sneak peeks of what different parts of the book are, and that's fine. I'm not going to spoil the ending. But it's a conversation between one of the main characters and then this waitress who he has immediately fallen in love with because obviously that's what happens in these sorts of books. So I'm trying to write this conversation between them. And I know where it starts. I know what she thinks of him at the beginning, and I know her opinion of him has to change by the end of this conversation. But it is very difficult to get it to feel right. There is a point where I haven't plotted things out. Like, I know what this conversation needs to be. I know how it flows. I know the topics that it goes through, but I don't know the actual dialogue. I don't know how it happens. And I feel like I can't move forward until I get what I'm working off of to feel right. Because each piece of dialogue for me informs the next piece of dialogue, informs, okay, this is how this character would respond to what the other character said, and so on and so forth. And it has been very slow going, just trying to get it to feel the way I want it to feel. And I think one of the main problems, I don't know enough about these characters to know what would make them feel a certain way before I write it. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does, right? You're trying to write a conversation for people who don't exist. You're trying to make two robots fall in love because you haven't made them people yet.
yeah, no, that's exactly what's happening. And I think us talking about the dialogue has sparked a few things in my head of how I could make this work.
The funny thing is, you said he immediately falls in love with this particular waitress that he meets. And in my mind, I had a person immediately. I knew someone immediately that I was like, if I had to come up with someone that someone's going to immediately fall in love with, I know who I'm picking. I have like 2 or 3 people I can pick from where I'm like, call Olivia Dean. It's so easy to fall in love.
Do I know any of these people?
Oh, yes, you do.
Okay, after we finish recording, we will talk for inspiration.
Absolutely.
And then we can leave them wondering who it is.
If you think it's you, reach out to one of us. You're probably wrong, but
one lucky winner will receive a $100 gift card to whoever wants to sponsor us.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, but that's what I've been working on. In contrast to the first part of the book, the first 2 chapters, which just came together so quickly. It was like, bam, bam, bam. I'm done. I know exactly what this is about. I knew this chapter was going to be tough. And honestly, I might start over and rewrite it. I don't know. But sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it comes together, and then other times it's just a slog, and you just have to push through it. And I know it won't be perfect. I know I'm going to have to go back through and revise it, and I have made myself okay with that. But I still just need to get through it so that I can move on to the next sections.
Sometimes it's exceptionally beneficial because you can write it, and then maybe the rest of the story will inform more about these 2 characters.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll write it, and then you'll be like, oh man, this is so bad. And then you'll read the rest of the book, or you'll write the rest of the book and come back and be like, actually, this fits in more nicely than I thought it did. Or you'll come back and be like, oh no, this is actually bad. But then at that point, you have more experience. But also, something that I tend to find is I'll find a really good nugget in here. I'll find a good anchor where I'm like, this is a good idea. I just didn't go far enough with it, or I didn't explore it correctly. And that will make it easier.
That does give me some hope, because I'm sure I'll find at least one nugget in my awful dialogue. Well, what have you been working on?
Mostly it's been editing. It really has, because we're creating a backlog. So we are recording every Monday and Friday for right now. And I try to finish editing the previous episode before we get to the next one. So every morning I wake up and I do editing, and then I'll get home and I'll try to do some writing things, but it's occasionally been looking for agents. But since we're trying to build up that backlog, it is mostly me still coming home and continuing to edit, which means I'm getting faster at it.
Yeah, but we're also making the episodes longer, so.
Right. We're also making the episodes longer, and we're also, working hard on some other stuff to sort of make this thing a little bit bigger, make it an actual thing. I guess this is an actual thing. I don't want to downplay what we've done so far. This is an actual thing. I don't know. I'll say the cheesy thing. Our dreams are currently bigger than us, but right now we have only us. So we have to do whatever we can with whatever we got to eventually get to where we would like to be.
Yeah, that is a very good way to put it.
Yeah, that means taking more time, more effort, more energy than we currently have.
And to bring that back around to the reading, we just got to keep doing it once more.
Just keep doing it once more. And this is something I've written before, right? Like, we need everything we got, but we got everything that we need. So, once more. What's been keeping you inspired this week, man, as we continue to try to do once more?
Yeah. I had thought about this yesterday, and I had a thing, and I didn't write it down. Oh, no, I remember it.
He remembers.
Yes. We got there eventually. Hang on, let me drink a celebratory sip of tea. That was more like a gulp than a sip, but here we go. Okay. So, I have been doing some fairly repetitive stuff at work, which means Sometimes I'll throw on a podcast, sometimes I'll throw on a TV show. What I happened to do this week was throw on a series of YouTube videos, and 1 to 2 of my listeners will be very excited about this. I watched through the backlog of The Show That Goes Wrong. Have you heard of this, Caleb?
I have not heard of this. Enlighten me.
Okay, you need to watch it. It's incredible. It's free on YouTube, which is awesome. Basically, it's this stage performance, and the director comes out. He introduces himself. It's the play of the week. Every week they perform a play, and it gets broadcast to the nation. This is in Britain, so everybody has British accents. And then, he says, what does he say? The stage is set, the actors are ready, enjoy this performance of blah, blah, blah. And then the play starts. And the conceit of the show is that there's a play, and then so many things go wrong, hence the name. And I don't want to get too much more into detail because there are so many ongoing bits. There are characters within characters. There's meta characters of the actors doing making the same mistakes and having their own character, and then also playing a character in the play. It goes multiple layers deep, and it is one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my life. I have laughed more at work this past week than I think the rest of my time at this job.
Oh my gosh. The play that goes wrong?
There's a couple of the play that goes wrong, and then the show that goes wrong is like the shorter format ones.
Okay, the show that goes wrong.
But yeah, they did a Peter Pan play that goes wrong. I think they did another one. And then they've got 12 episodes of the show that goes wrong. I really hope they're making more because I need more of it. It's really funny. But the thing I was thinking about is comedy, because I am trying to write a book that I won't say it's a comedy, but it is supposed to be funny to read. I'm not trying to write an uproariously hilarious book, but I want, when people read the book, I want them to be amused. That is the emotion I'm going for. And so I've been thinking a lot about comedy. I've been watching a lot of Taskmaster. Go watch Taskmaster if you haven't. Season 19 is the best season, but watch from the beginning. It's so good. Series 19, sorry. They're also British. Anyway, so I've been thinking a lot about comedy, and I was watching The Show That Goes Wrong. And the thing that stood out to me the most was how they managed to make every character funny, and how they managed to use them in such different ways without demeaning them. I shouldn't say without demeaning them, without reducing their character. So there's sometimes in comedy you'll hang on, let me go back. There's a better way to say that. The thing that struck me is how they made the characters funny. Because sometimes in comedy, you'll just have, oh, it's pure slapstick. And there's good slapstick, and then there's mediocre slapstick. And then you'll have the character who's kind of stupid. And there's good ways to do that and bad ways to do that. And you'll have the character who always gets their dreams crushed. And again, there's good and bad ways to do that. And I haven't fully been able to put my finger on it, but they do each type of character so well. And I think it's because they give every character moments where they win. And you want each character to have those moments where they win. And when they don't win, it's not us laughing at them failing. It's us laughing at them trying to recover from the failing. And it's the ridiculousness of the situation as opposed to this person is stupid, let's all laugh at them. It's the miscommunication and how the different viewpoints or the different habits of these actors clash against each other. And I need to dig into it more, and I need to think about it more, because it is really impressive how they've managed to do that without reducing any of the characters, making them unlikable, making the situations painful or just kind of feel icky, like some comedies do. But it's been A, just a very enjoyable time this week, and B, it's helped me think a lot about how I want to make things funny in my book.
It's always nice when you find that perfect stand-in for what you're wanting, where you're like, okay, great, they do this thing really, really well. What can I take from them to imitate, and then what can I take from them to reinvent or make new? Because
Mm-hmm.
all creativity, you're like a sponge, right? You absorb a whole bunch of stuff, but the thing that comes out is different than the combination of all the stuff that comes in. And so when you can find something that's like, oh man, they're doing a lot of these tropes and things that I like really, really well. What lessons can I learn from that? Is is awesome.
What about you? What have you been inspired by?
For me, I am going to go with Last Meals. You know about Last Meals?
Yes, I do. Again, just like Hot Ones, I have not watched any of the videos, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so Last Meals is a YouTube show put on by Mythical Kitchen where they will invite celebrities on and they will walk through their last meal. The premise is this is your last meal on earth. It can be whatever from wherever, whatever. We'll make it. And then we'll sort of walk through this, right? And it's not really a walkthrough of their career more so than it is a walkthrough of their person, which I find that to be more in depth than Hot Ones, but it's also there's such a strong level of sincerity because the host Josh cares so very deeply about the meal and the person and the experience that they're going through. And the three that I want to plug specifically is Matthew Lillard. Yes, the guy that plays Shaggy. The recent one that they did with Millie Alcock, who's going to be Supergirl, I had heard no media from her, knew nothing about her. Fascinating meal choices and fascinating perspective. And then Alton Brown.
Mm.
One person you expect to be very sincere, right? Like Alton Brown, you sort of expect him to be like likable and sincere and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
He sort of built his reputation off of that. But Matthew Lillard's very like flamboyant and ridiculous and boisterous. But there's also because of the format of the show, which is we're walking you through your last meal, which tends to be a combination of things that are very special, whether it's from your childhood or like the first meal that you had when you like realized that you made it, or something that takes you back to a very special place and point in time. And it draws out these stories from people that you normally wouldn't get otherwise. And it really makes you think about life and death and remembering, like how will you be remembered and how do you want to be remembered? And they always end the show with like, what do you think happens when you die? And that brings out this sort of existential part of people because it is, oh man, like what do I believe happens when this is all said and done? Something from Last Meals I thought about while you were talking about your show was you tend to write more comedy. You try to write more funny things that lean toward comedy, and I try to
Yeah.
write more atmospheric, spooky things that lean toward horror. And Marlon Wayans was on Last Meals. He was on specifically for the movie Him, which is a horror movie. And if you know anything about Marlon Wayans, he's done White Chicks and the Scary Movies and those sorts of things, right? And so he talks about how sort of comedy and horror work hand in hand because it's trying to elicit a specific emotion out of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's setting proper atmosphere and tone to get the audience to experience this thing that you're wanting them to experience. And that sort of reminds me of me and you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where our goal when we're writing and even doing this is to try to get people to feel the way that we want them to feel and engage the way that we want them to engage. And I just found that to be very beautiful and very inspiring. So go watch some of those. Your favorite actor or actress has probably been on there. They've had Elijah Wood, they've had Hugh Jackman, they've had Millie Alcock, they've had the Jonas Brothers, they've had a lot of different people.
I did not realize that show was that deep. I thought it was more of a, oh, we're going to make some food and, interview a celebrity. But that sounds like something I need to go watch.
It is. I recommend it. And there's a lot of great. Terry Crews has been on.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Oh, Terry Crews on it. He was phenomenal on there. Again,
Yeah.
we're plugging very popular things that a lot of people know about. But it's things that, are inspiring.
Yeah.
So, are you prepared to be existential on a Thursday? Was what I was thinking yesterday, listening to Millie Alcox, where she was going into this like deep philosophical things, and I'm walking around at 11:30 on a Thursday at my job, being like, well, this is a pleasant thing to think about.
That sounds like a surreal experience.
No, it is. It's amazing. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. Well, let me know when they get a Bollywood actor on there, because until then, I'm not interested.
Let me go through their backlog. Let me see who they've had.
I doubt they've... I mean, Kumail Nanjiani is like the closest I can think of somebody they might have had on there.
Well, if you like any other actors or podcast hosts, they've even had Brittany Broski on there, so...
Yeah, no, I need to listen to it. That was more of an attempt at a joke than anything else.
But it's a joke, but I also know you're very serious.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, I would watch every episode of that show if it was like my favorite Indian actors, because they're so fascinating.
I think that's a good place to wrap.
We got stuff to plug?
We do have stuff to plug. As usual, my Substack, if you want to reach out to us, ctwriteforyourlife@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, leave a review. Goes a long way.
Comment if you have comments. That can be, on whatever platform you're listening on. If you got suggestions, if you got feedback, anything like that, we welcome it all. And definitely do go subscribe to Caleb's Substack, because it's really good. The writing he put out Wednesday, absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to talk about it. I'm not even going to say the title, because I need people to go to the Substack and read that writing. It's the one that came out on this June 17th, because we're going to post this a couple weeks from now. Super, super good. Go subscribe to that. It's a really nice way to start your Wednesday along with this podcast. And there's little subtitles underneath a lot of his writings that we don't read on air. So that's a little bonus content you could go get.
The Substack lets you have a sneak peek into the future.
Ooh.
That completely cut out on my end, but I think it's very funny. I can imagine it in my head. Also, we have socials now. We talked about this at the beginning of the episode of we're going to create them. By this point, they are created. So go follow us. I don't have the handles yet. I'll put those in the comments below. As always, there will be links to the things that we have discussed in the comments below. And with that, keep writing, keep listening, keep being inspired.